Critter Care is brought to you by Petland. Pets make life better.
You love your cat, and your cat loves to scratch. It's one of the primary kitty concerns and the focus of Critter Care this week. Robert Church is here to talk about this. And Robert, a cat doesn't differentiate between a $5,000 couch and the old love seat in the basement. They love to scratch. They need to scratch. Why?
And you love your cat. So if you scratch your cat will love you. And that's very, very important.
Yep.
Not what we're talking about today, though, is it?
Why do they need to scratch?
Well, it's funny, but cats almost an instinctive thing with them. Cats have retractable claws, and they get a sheath on them. And so they like to really dig their claws into something, and it really exercises their little paws. It's kind of an exercise thing as well for them. They like to get up and just stretch right out and rip down and scratch. And they also do it to mark their territory. And if they're in your house, it's their house. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to mark things and scratch things that maybe you don't think are appropriate, but they think they're really doing you a favor. Mm-hmm. So punishing them for doing them a favor isn't really going to work when you got a cat that scratches.
And not only do you want to encourage natural behavior, but in the case of kittens and cats and scratching, resistance is really futile, isn't it?
It really is. You're not going to teach a cat to not scratch, mm-hmm. but you can alter that behavior. It's a natural behavior. They have to exercise, they have to mark, and they just love scratching. Mm-hmm. So rather than making them stop doing something that's ingrained into them, let's give them an appropriate outlet for that behavior.
Okay, and more than a few options in that regard, right?
Well, there are, because now maybe we've got a couch that's all scratched up. How do we get the cat away from the couch or the drapes? Well, there's a few things we can do. Number one, we want to get a good scratch post that they're going to like, mm-hmm. and we're going to put it right by where they're doing all the scratching.
Okay.
That's a good thing to start, because now we're giving them an alternative. Now, to keep them away from the couch, we're going to do a couple of things, and we do have some options. We do have a little artillery mm-hmm. in our war against the cat scratching. There's a double-sided sticky tape mm-hmm. that you can put just down there, because a cat doesn't like to scratch something that's sticky like that. So that will help to certainly keep them away from there. Cats, I mentioned, also use their scent, mm-hmm. And they'll scent things. And so you might need to use a stain and odor remover, right. like one that has enzymes in it. Please mm-hmm. keep the enzymes in mind. That's what breaks down the odor. So that will help to clean things up. And then you can use a repellent spray because cats are very odor sensitive. And if you use the repellent spray, it shouldn't harm the material. Test it on a ColorFast corner,
right, of course.
But spray that on there. That will help to keep them away from it. And then right here, I've got this great scratching thing for you to scratch mm-hmm. on. And look, it's sisal and it's carpet and it's solid, so that I can get claws into it and mm-hmm. really scratch.
You mentioned sisal, however you say it. Some portable options like this, good idea as well?
Well, it's important that it be a solid thing for them to scratch, and you want them to be able to stretch up and get onto it. So something like this is conveniently got a little rope on it. You hang this from a doorknob, mm-hmm. and then a cat can get his claws into it and really go nuts on it. And what you're going to find, sisal is, again, probably one of the best textures for a cat. They like it rough and just so they can get their claws into it again. They might go for the carpet, but this is what they really like.
Okay.
And it's got to be secure. If you get a little post and it falls over when they scratch it, they're never going to use it again. So just get a good, solid structure for them.
And this is a neat idea as well. This is out of the package. It comes with a box that sort of props it up as well, and loaded with catnip, I guess, too. But another good idea?
Corrugated cardboard is something that cats really seem to like getting their claws into. Again, and it's because they can, number one, kind of destroy it. And it's a rough surface, and it pulls their claws, and it stretches out their feet. So that's a very, very good option as well. And what you got to remember here is once these things start looking really ratty and frayed and awful, that's when they're the best. The cat's finally got them to where he wants it. So don't throw it out. These things, they look nice like this, but when it's all frayed and hacked, that's when it's going to be the best for them. So don't mess with a good thing. If he's scratching it, keep it.
And again, better this looks ratty, frayed, and awful than your couch or your curtains or your mattress or anything. All right. What about care for the claws? Some controversy, a lot of issues here. But first of all, clipping claws can't be an easy chore. Two-person job?
You know, some people will say that. I think it's important when you have a little cat that, and again, the younger you can start, the better. And if you have, brought home an older cat or a rescue cat, good for you, and thank you for doing that. But try to just, handle the cat's feet as much as you can. You should be really, just really handle your animal a lot and move them around. But make it so that you can push out his little claws. Cat's claws aren't hard to clip. They're typically, they're opaque, so you can see where the quick is. And the quick doesn't go down really far, so you can snip off a good chunk of claw without any problems whatsoever, as long as you get the cat used to having his feet handled. And, maybe only do 2 or 3 at a time, give him a treat, try a couple more the next day.
Special set of clippers there?
Yeah, it's important that you use the right set of clippers. You don't want to, if you use like people clippers, you can actually split their claw, and that opens up a whole nother set of problems there, David. So we're just going to go with a good, appropriate clipper for our cat's nails.
Okay, we'll save the controversial part for the end. Declawing, not the best idea.
Declawing is certainly an avenue of absolute last resort, and you're absolutely right. Very, very controversial. A lot of people are dead set against it. I guess the argument for it is if you absolutely have tried every avenue, you've worked with a veterinarian and a behaviorist, and you cannot stop the scratching, then you might want to consider declawing. It is a very invasive surgery. It can be very painful. There can be complications. You want to talk to your veterinarian about doing it. If you can have it done, laser surgery is probably the cleanest way to do it. Right. But there's also the little nail caps. It's just a bead, goes right on your cat's nail, and it rounds off the end. It takes a little getting used to for them, but they last for about 6 weeks. And I would think that you absolutely would not declaw a cat until you've given these a try for at least 6 months.
And these, you just glue these on, do you?
They just glue on. It's so simple. I can't believe I didn't think of it, but it's already been done, so
all right.
Some out of luck.
Robert, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Important stuff. Do your homework. Don't try to get your cat to not be a cat. Encourage him to scratch, and encourage him to do it in the right place. See you next time.
Pets make life better.